Under the golden twilight of Manhattan, Ethan Blackwood, a cold-hearted CEO, presided over a business dinner on the terrace of an upscale restaurant. His fork hovered over an untouched filet mignon, his mind elsewhere, when a frail voice pierced the air. "Sir, marry my mom. It's all I have left." Ethan froze. His associates, glasses in hand, exchanged puzzled glances, and a heavy silence fell. A 4-year-old girl, in a stained and oversized dress, her cheeks streaked with tears, clutched his Armani sleeve. Her brown eyes, a mix of fear and hope, locked onto his with an intensity that disarmed him. "What did you say?" he murmured, his voice soft. "Marry my mom. She's sick. We have no one." "You seem nice," she repeated, her lips trembling. A young but exhausted woman, pale under the streetlights, rushed over limping, her messy blonde hair and worn coat over a cotton dress. "Lily!" she cried, breathless, scooping the child into her arms. "Baby, you can't." Their eyes met, and time seemed to fracture. Ethan recognized Isabel Rowan, the woman he had loved and abandoned without a word 10 years earlier. "I'm sorry," Isabel stammered, holding Lily. Her voice cracked like an old melody. "She doesn't know what she's saying, forget it." But Ethan couldn't. Isabel's voice revived buried memories, and Lily, with her strangely familiar eyes, stirred a deep turmoil. He stood up, the napkin falling. "Isabel," he murmured. She froze. "You remember," she breathed, incredulous. Ethan, unsettled, felt a question rise, a truth he dared not name. Ethan had never forgotten Isabel Rowan, whom he met at university under a sycamore tree, sketching passionately, her golden hair catching the light like threads of silk. He, a student shattered by the loss of his father, watched her from afar, intimidated, until a group project brought them closer. Isabel was everything he was not, radiant, warm, unafraid. They became inseparable, sharing late-night coffees, discussions under streetlights, silences she filled with colors. She taught him color theory, carried his canvases, spoke of opening a free art school for underprivileged children, a dream born from a fractured childhood. Ethan loved her, but consumed by his anxieties and grief, he never said it. When a scholarship took him abroad, he left without a word, thinking that abandonment was a mercy. He convinced himself she would forget, but she haunted him, a laugh, a breeze in the trees, everything brought her back. He immersed himself in ambition, building an empire, but Isabel remained a buried color. That evening, facing her, aged, tired but strong, holding Lily with eyes so similar to his, Ethan understood that time erases nothing. Isabel had fought alone, raised a child. Was it possible? Lily, his daughter? He pushed the thought away, but it clung on, tenacious. "Come, Lily," said Isabel, avoiding his gaze. "No," protested the little girl, reaching her hands toward Ethan. "He is nice. He can help you feel better." Those innocent words struck him like a wave. He stepped forward, ignoring the looks from his guests. The image of Lily, her eyes full of hope, and Isabel, exhausted yet dignified, haunted Ethan. Unable to ignore his instinct, he broke his own rules, using his influence to obtain information. A file landed on his desk. Isabel Rowan, heart failure, degenerative valve disease, uninsured. She was dying, alone with Lily, juggling odd jobs, skipping appointments. A transplant was her only chance, but the waiting list was long, her condition unstable. Ethan, the file trembling in his hands, felt a dull anger towards himself. He made his way to their shabby apartment, entering with the help of a neighbor who mistook him for a social worker. The interior, clean yet worn, housed children's books, an unfinished watercolor, and an open notebook on the coffee table. He shouldn't have read it, but he did. Delicate sketches of Lily, raw confessions. She looks so much like him. Her eyes, the way she furrows her brow. I never told her. He chose his future. I chose Lily. Ethan collapsed, the notebook slipping from his hands. Lily was his daughter. He had missed her first steps, her words, every birthday, every scraped knee. Isabel had borne it all alone, not out of resentment, but out of pride and pain. Tears flowed, the first since his father's funeral. In that modest apartment, Ethan wept for the lost years, the buried truth, the two lives he had unknowingly abandoned. But a glimmer of hope pierced through. Perhaps it was not too late. Ethan wanted to help, but he knew he had to act cautiously. He began to frequent the park near Isabel's apartment, watching Lily play, while Isabel always looked tired, her steps slow. He didn't dare impose himself, but acted in silence. Groceries appeared at their door, without a note or explanation. Isabel questioned the neighbors, to no avail. An anonymous envelope settled her overdue medical bills, vanishing when she tried to return it. She became suspicious, but kept her doubts from Lily. Ethan, on the other hand, sought excuses to be at the park, sometimes exchanging a few words with Lily. One afternoon, he saw her fall from her wobbly bike, scraping her knee. Before Isabel, exhausted on a bench, could react, Ethan was there. "Are you okay, little one?" he asked, extending his hand. Lily, tears in her eyes, nodded and took his hand. "Do you want to try again? I was terrible at biking too," he smiled. Isabel watched, silent, not interrupting. Ethan guided Lily, who eventually pedaled on her own, laughing heartily. That laughter touched Ethan deeply, awakening a new connection. Returning to the bench, Isabel murmured, "Thank you." One summer evening, Isabel was returning from work, a bakery bag in hand, her cheeks flushed from the heat, when her vision blurred, her chest tightened, and the world faded away. She collapsed on the sidewalk. A passerby found a number in her bag, Ethan Blackwood. The paramedics hesitated to call a man of his status, but he answered immediately. 20 minutes later, Ethan burst into St. Luke's Hospital, out of breath, asking, "Where is Isabel Rowan?" "Family?" the receptionist inquired. "Yes," he replied without flinching. "I am all she has." They let him through. Isabel, unconscious, was connected to monitors, her pale face contrasting with her past vitality. The doctor pulled him aside. "Her heart is failing faster than expected. She needs emergency surgery. A donor is available, but we need consent and funds." Ethan signed and paid without hesitation. An hour later, Lily arrived, escorted by a neighbor, crying as she saw her mother through the glass. "Is she going to die?" she sobbed. Ethan knelt down. "No, my dear, she will be okay. I promise you." "She's scared alone," Lily whispered. Ethan lifted her. "She's not alone anymore, never again." He stayed by Isabel's bedside, watching over Lily, reading her stories until she fell asleep, her hand in his. The nurses, whispering, were astonished. Ethan Blackwood, a father? Lily, waking up, murmured, "Thank you, Papa Ethan. Mommy says you were her favorite dream." Those words broke Ethan. He kissed her forehead. "I'm not leaving anymore." In that room, under the neon lights, he was no longer a CEO, but a father, ready to do anything to protect the two lives he had failed to love before. The operation on Isabel lasted for hours, Ethan pacing the corridors, helpless, his heart tight. He activated his contacts, calling in experts, organizing a transfer to a top hospital through a foundation he secretly funded. When the surgeon emerged, tired smile on his face, and announced the operation was a success, Ethan cried tears of relief, a silent sob escaping him. 2 days later, Isabel opened her eyes. The soft light felt foreign, her body heavy yet alive. She breathed without pain, a new warmth coursing through her veins. Her gaze found Ethan, disheveled, holding her hand. "Ethan," she croaked. He woke up, a smile of pure relief. "You're okay." "The operation? Perfect," he said. Isabel saw his fatigue, his dried tears, his constant presence. He knelt down. "Isabel, you made me want to be better. You loved me when I was nothing, and you gave me Lily, a gift I don't deserve." He pulled out a simple gold ring. "I ran away out of fear. Not anymore. I want you, Lily, every moment, every pain, every joy. Let me love you always." Isabel, tears in her eyes, nodded, "Yes." Lily burst in, escaping the nurses, jumping into their arms. "Mommy is okay." Ethan embraced them, a family reunited. He vowed never to abandon them again, to build a life where love would be their anchor. In that hospital room, under the harsh light, Ethan was no longer just a businessman, but a father, a future husband, ready to do anything for them. The operation had saved Isabel, but their reunion saved Ethan, giving him a chance to redeem his mistakes, to become the man he had failed to be. Every exchanged glance with Isabel, every smile from Lily, strengthened his resolve. He would never let fear guide him again. He would choose love, day by day, to build a future where they would always be together, united by a bond stronger than the past. After the operation, Ethan gradually integrated into the lives of Isabel and Lily. He spent nights at the hospital playing with Lily, reading stories, awkwardly braiding her hair. Lily called him Mr. Ethan with an affection that moved him deeply. Isabel, still weak, watched, torn between distrust and hope. Ethan continued his anonymous gestures, groceries delivered, bills paid, medical follow-ups organized without claiming credit. One morning, at the park, he heard Lily talking to a cat. "Mr. Ethan, Mommy says you were nice before. Maybe you still are." Those words, with pure innocence, struck him to the core. He decided to be present, constant, without forcing it. He helped Lily with her bike, listened to her stories about butterflies, sharing simple moments. Isabel, cautious, let him be, and this silence was a fragile victory. One day, Lily handed him a crayon to draw. Ethan sketched a wobbly house, and she laughed, a laugh reminiscent of Isabel's from long ago. This bond, fragile yet real, was growing. Ethan was not yet a full father, but he was there, building a bridge to a possible future. He learned that love was not in grand gestures, but in the details, a shared smile, a steadied bike, a note left unsigned. Isabel, by allowing him to approach, opened a door, and Ethan, humble, stepped in, determined to earn his place. On a Sunday morning, Ethan went to the park, seeing Isabel on a bench with her old sketchbook, Lily playing. He approached, the repeated words fading away. Isabel sensed him before seeing him, her steely gaze ready for anything. "We need to talk," he said softly. She stood up. "Let's walk." In silence, the air heavy, Ethan let slip, "I know." "What?" she asked. "That Lily is my daughter. I read your notebook. I had no right, I'm sorry, but I know." Isabel stopped. "You had no right," she said, her voice cold yet calm. but I knew you would understand. Ethan murmured, I want to be there for her, for you. Isabel crossed her arms. Now, after all these years, I raised Lily alone, in fear without you. If I had known, he began. You would have what? Stayed? Written? You left, Ethan, without a word, just silence. Her voice broke. I thought I was protecting you, he admitted, ashamed. That didn't work, she replied bitterly. The garden of Isabel's artistic center, modest yet charming, was adorned with climbing roses and ivy. Under the golden sun, chairs draped in white linen and wildflowers in jars created a gentle magic. Isabel, radiant in a cream dress, her golden hair cascading, beamed with health, her eyes sparkling. Ethan, in a gray suit without a tie, looked at her as if she were his universe, a boutonniere of white lilacs, Lily's idea. Between them, Lily, barefoot in a twirling dress, held a basket of joyfully scattered petals. The ceremony, intimate, was rooted in love rediscovered after pain. Ethan, his voice trembling, read his vows. You are my light, Isabel, even when I chose darkness. I promised to stay, to build a life with you and Lily, honoring every lost moment. Isabel, sweet yet firm, replied, You gave me a second chance at life, at love. I choose you always. Lily clapped, jumping into their arms before their kiss, triggering laughter. The reception, under the string lights Ethan had hung, overflowed with homemade dishes, fresh lemonade, and a cake decorated by Lily. During the toast, Ethan knelt beside her. You brought me back to your mom. You are brave. We are a family. Lily smiled. Thank you for choosing Mom. Ethan kissed her. It's she who chose me, and I will never let her go. They danced under the stars, Isabel laughing like chimes, Lily twirling, Ethan fulfilled, his heart perfect. Their marriage sealed a love forged in trials, a bond stronger than the past. Ethan, once a runaway, was now anchored. Isabel, strong alone, was opening up, and Lily, with her childlike faith, had made the impossible real. This moment, simple yet sacred, was a promise. They would remain united, always ready to build the future together, under the light of eternal love. In this modest garden, filled with laughter, wildflowers, and second chances, lost love found its way. Ethan, who had fled, chose to stay. Isabel, who had borne everything alone, allowed herself to be loved. Lily, believing in fairy tales, transformed pain into happiness. The innocence of a child reminded them of what matters. Love, presence, the courage to say, I stay. After the wedding, they moved in together near the park where it all began. Ethan learned to braid Lily's hair, prepare her lunch, and listen to her dreams. Isabel, in good health, painted again, planning her art school with Ethan. Every evening, they laughed around the table, their ordinary moments becoming precious. Ethan, freed from ambition, found joy in the details, reading to Lily, holding Isabel's hand. Isabel, learning to trust, shared her burden. Lily, their heart, reminded them that hope rises from the ashes. One evening, in the park, Ethan watched them, overwhelmed with gratitude. He was no longer a magnate, but a husband, a father, building love day by day. Their story, born from a chance meeting and a revealed truth, became a symbol of redemption and forgiveness. In that park, under the stars, they danced, a united family, ready for a future where love would never leave.